Desawekanda in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Coming up this evening, Cabinet approves a new policy to cut Ghana's rising foreign mission expenses as President John Mahama reveals the country spends $15 million annually just on rent. Details of that story coming up in a jiffy. Also in the bulletin, Office of the Attorney General reveals a new law set to reform legal education will likely be passed by the end of the year. And later, presiding judge in the immigration officer murder case admonishes the aggrieved family members of the deceased to allow the law to take its course following threats against the suspects. We'll bring you details of all these and more, including business and sports, within the next 1 hour. Stay with us. Before we get into the details, let's bring you some news summaries. And Sarfoa Boahene joins us in studio. Hello, Sarfoa.
Hi, Martin. Thank you and welcome to the news summary segment. Let's settle for the details now. In our first story, the Akwitia District Police Command on Tuesday, September 2, 2025, commenced investigations into an alleged assault on Alhaji Masawudu Osman at Akwitia. The complainant was issued with a police medical form to attend hospital for treatment, endorsement, and returned sane to police for further investigations. The case has since been referred to the Eastern South Regional Police Command for further investigation. I'll definitely bring you the details of that later on. But to our second story now, and clashes in the Sola Tuna Kalba district in the Savannah region has displaced over 13,253 people, claimed 31 lives, and affected over 48,000, with about 14,000 seeking refuge in Cote d'Ivoire. The government is working with traditional leaders to restore peace, has deployed over 700 security personnel, and is addressing concerns about food insecurity due to abandoned livelihoods. Also, Ghana was held to a 1-1 draw by Chad after conceding a last-minute equalizer in their World Cup 2026 qualifier, halting their momentum in CAF Group 1. The result moves Ghana to 16 points and gives Chad their first point after 6 consecutive losses. But moving away from that, President Mahama revealed that Ghana spends over $15 million annually on rent for its diplomatic missions abroad, calling the practice unsustainable and wasteful. He announced that a transaction advisor has been appointed under a new policy to develop standard facilities and explore funding options, and has directed the Finance and Foreign Affairs Ministers to address the issue urgently. And to our last story now, the Adabraka District Court has adjourned the murder case of Immigration Officer Stephen Kenamwa to October 9, 2025, granting prosecutors a 1-month remand extension for further forensic investigations. And counsel for the second accused, Thomas Ziga, maintained his client's innocence, raised concerns about detention conditions, and urged the deceased families to allow due process. And this brings us to the end of our news summary segment, and over to you, Martin.
Thank you very much, Sarfoa, for that. Let's delve straight into the stories now. And like you heard in the summaries, the president has been expressing concern over how much Ghana spends on our foreign missions, especially for the rent accommodation for our envoys. Now, the country, according to President John Mahama, spends over $15 million every year on rent for its diplomatic missions abroad, a situation President Mahama has described as both unsustainable and wasteful. To tackle the problem, Cabinet has approved a new policy, the strategic transition from rental to development of properties, which will see Ghana's embassies and high commissions gradually shift from rented facilities to state-owned properties. The president revealed that a transaction advisor has already been appointed, standard designs for mission facilities are being developed, and funding arrangements are under negotiation. He has further directed the Ministers of Finance and Foreign Affairs to urgently implement the policy and reduce the financial burden on the state. The president made these remarks at the swearing-in of 18 newly appointed ambassadors, high commissioners, and protocol officers at the Jubilee House.
Our foreign policy has always been anchored on enduring principles: Pan-Africanism, peaceful coexistence, self-determination, our foreign policy, and the pursuit of justice and equity in world affairs. Yet today's world demands diplomacy that is also agile, that is innovative and purposeful. Global shifts in geopolitics, economics, and technology require Ghana not only to respond, but also to actively shape trends in ways that benefit our people. I therefore expect you to be vanguards of Ghana's economic diplomacy. Let your missions become dynamic hubs of export promotion, investment attraction, tourism marketing, innovative change, and diaspora mobilization. Carry Ghana's story to the world, not just as a beacon of democracy and stability, but also as a land of opportunity, open for business, embracing technology, and committed to partnerships that deliver prosperity for our youth and dignity for our working class. Your responsibilities go beyond representation. They also require strong leadership and sound administration. Your staff must be guided with fairness, respect, and a sense of shared purpose. The image of Ghana abroad is not only shaped by what you say, but also how you manage, serve, and uphold the dignity of every Ghanaian citizen that is under your care. Integrity must be your watchword. The Public Financial Management Act and all relevant regulations must guide your stewardship of public resources that are put in your care. I urge you to guard the public purse with diligence and ensure that efficiency, service, and ethical governance, the very values we're entrenching at home, shine through in every mission abroad. Let me be emphatic. Ghana cannot continue spending a staggering more than $15 million every year on renting properties abroad for our diplomatic use. This is not a judicious use of taxpayers' resources, and the reset agenda requires an immediate reversal of this trend. And that is why Cabinet has promptly approved the STRIDE initiative. And STRIDE refers to the strategic transition from rental to developing our own properties. I've tasked the Ministers for Foreign Affairs and Finance to work urgently to resolve this long-standing challenge. From my latest briefing, a transaction advisor has been appointed, standard designs are being developed, and funding mechanisms are already being negotiated. This decisive shift will ensure that our missions abroad are housed in properties that are owned by the Republic, reducing wasteful expenditure while safeguarding Ghana's dignity on the international stage. Distinguished envoys, the research agenda is a shared enterprise. Success depends on close coordination between the missions abroad, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and all ministries, departments, and government agencies. It also depends on how well we engage the private sector, civil society, and our dynamic Ghanaian diaspora abroad. As you assume this noble mandate, remember that your service is not for yourself, but for country and God. Serve with humility, courage, and excellence. May your tenure bring renewed favor to Ghana, progress to our people, and dignity to every Ghanaian, both at home and abroad.
So that's President John Dramani Mahama earlier today addressing a number of Ghana's envoys who are about leaving the shores of Ghana to represent the country in a number of countries. So we have a total of about 75 missions abroad, but today 18 of them have been given their mandate to leave the shores of Ghana, and clearly they will be going out in phases. So Sarfoa is still with me and would help us through the first 18 that met the president today. And it was at that meeting that the president reiterated this particular point, that over the last few years we have rented the properties which accommodated not just the missions but also served as our embassies, where we transacted official business in various parts of the world. So he thought that, or the current government thinks that, instead of renting and paying in total of 15 million annually, we should own the property. And we'll get some extra details of what exactly the government intends to do. But Sarfoa, can kindly walk us through who these first 18 envoys are?
Okay, absolutely. So we have on the list Mrs. Sabazita Benson, who is the High Commissioner Designate, London, United Kingdom. We also have Mr. Victor Emmanuel Smith, who is Ambassador Designate for Washington, D.C., USA. We have Miss Mavis Amafrempong, who is Ambassador Designate for Paris, France, and we have Mr. Baba Jamal Mohammed Ahmed, who is the High Commissioner Designate for Abuja, Nigeria. We also have Dr. Kumastim Jiwu Apia, who is Ambassador Designate for Moscow, Russian Federation. And then we have Mr. Kojo Bonsu, who is Ambassador Designate for Beijing People's Republic of China. We have Alhaji Ahmed Rashid, who is also Ambassador Designate for Abu Dhabi, which is United Arab Emirates. And we have Professor Ohene Eji, Ambassador Designate for Berlin, who is Federal Republic of Germany. And you have Alhaji Abdo Nasiruddin, who is the Ambassador Designate for Ankara, Turkey. And we also have Dr. Margaret Chebri. I beg your pardon if I massacre the name. She is also the Ambassador Designate for Copenhagen, Kingdom of Denmark, absolutely. And we also have Mr. Labeg Joshua Yani, Ambassador Designate for Malabo, which is at Equatorial Guinea. We have Ni Amasa Namwali. I hope that's correct. Namwali, yes. So Ambassador Designate for Brasilia, Federative Republic of Brazil. And we have Professor Kwesi Obri-Danso, High Commissioner Designate for New Delhi, India. We have Ambassador Samuel Yao Kuma, Ambassador Designate for New York, USA. We have Mr. Godwin Balitum Amunzem, Ambassador Designate for Monrovia, Republic of Libya. And we also have Mr. Akins Abrokwa, who is Ambassador in situ Designate, Director of State Protocol. We have Mr. Gustav Kweku Sefe Dovlo, Ambassador in situ Designate Chief of Protocol. And lastly on the list, we have Mrs. Patience Kokui Gameli Kwame, Ambassador at Large Designate, Deputy Director General Research Department. So these are what we have in the 18 envoys we have, Martin.
Right, certainly so. And thank you very much for that list. So it gives you a sense of where the government intends to deploy its soldiers or its men first, as we look to ensure that we are fully represented across the many other countries around the world. And this is largely on the back of the fact that the president had met all of the ambassador designates and high commissioners who are currently undergoing a one-week training, and their general idea is that they just want to be on the same page with government's reset agenda and ensure that the key issue that government is trying to push, which is economic diplomacy, will be imprinted on the minds of these men and women who are going to be representing Ghana around the world. So let's go to the phone lines now and try and focus on the key issue the president touched on, which is the fact that Ghana spends about $15 million annually in renting its properties abroad. And the president or the government is saying that they are hoping that they can now own their own properties. Then it will save us cost in the coming years. Professor Daniel Draman Kepo-Sunyehi is an associate professor at the Legon Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy, LESIAD. He's joined us on phone for a quick chat. Prof, good evening and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you. Also thank the cherished listeners for this opportunity to add a perspective.
What are your thoughts on the fact that the government says, look, over the last few years, $15 million annually is breaking the government coffers, and for that reason, we want to rather own our own properties, and there is a new policy to bring these issues into reality, especially now that our foreign envoys are about leaving to represent Ghana. How does this come to you?
Yeah, I think this is a very, very welcome news. It's good news for the country. Certainly, most of these developed countries have made conscious effort to own property in their foreign missions. But the developing sides, including Ghana, that is where we, because of affordability, we are not able to own our foreign mission, including the embassies, the High Commission, and all their areas of residence. So for government, President Mahama coming out with such a bold decision that, well, let's be moving away from renting to owing this property. I think that is a very fantastic one, and that is a very good one. It will cost the country, but that is the best investment Ghana can make, so that we can see the $50 million or over $50 million that we are paying for rental charges towards owing them. And I think that is a very good move. And what I wish is that it should be a foreign policy that government upon government will consistently follow this path, so that gradually we'll be able to phase out all these renting premises to owing premises across all the over 60 foreign missions that we have in Ghana.
And the other side of the conversation that people are arguing over is the fact that how realistic is this? And looking at the fact that government is sending its troops out or our envoys out, would these facilities be ready in time, or what timelines should we be looking at to be sure that we have these facilities ready enough to transact business?
Yes, as I said, I see it as a gradualist approach, an incremental model that we must just start from somewhere. Possibly, let's take, for instance, if it's Washington that our embassy is on rent, we will gradually be starting to move that. How do we owe it? So they come to the United Kingdom, London, we follow suit. So government, because of financial constraints, government will have to do it gradually. Maybe target about 5 countries that we will gradually be facing, moving towards permanent instead of that. And I believe that it's not something that will automatically start. It's a policy that you have to roll and follow it through gradually. I do not think Ghana have the financial muscles to take care of all the 16 foreign missions that we have. But I believe that government will pursue it in a very gradual move. And that is why the earlier one I said that this should be a policy that government upon government will consistently follow. Once we do that, I'm sure that with a matter of time, we'll be able to have all our foreign missions abroad, the embassies, the high commission, the consular general, all these things, we'll have them on our own premises, on our own, that Ghana can own. And then we'll cut off this cost of renting. And that will be very good. Mother Ghana will benefit, and every Ghanaian will be. And that certainly will be a judicious use of our taxpayers' money. Right. I hope that we will follow it through government by government. It should not end with President Mahama, but we should be able to continue it, because it's a very laudable foreign policy decision.
Right. And what, in your estimation, I mean, certainly this might be a guess, but what, in your estimation, led us to have waited all this while up until now? Is it that we were unaware of how much expenses we were paying, or previous governments did not see it necessary that owning a property for yourself to transact or do your diplomatic business was a better alternative to having to rent and pay these rents year in, year out?
I'm sure government, they know that it's a very good one, but what the problem is that maybe we decided to gloss over it. And that is where I think, because if not, even from an individual perspective, we know that it is very good if you can afford to owe something. It's a better option than renting. So all of them know it, but maybe we haven't decided to pursue it as a policy decision that we will all do it, because it's very expensive renting. And I quite remember some few years ago we had this property in Oslo where there were a whole lot of things that it was so expensive. Sometimes it is the politics of these things that lead us into that case. And some were arguing that if it's so expensive like this, then government should not even buy the property in Oslo. We should rather look for a rental one. So it is the politics, over politicization of very important issues. That is where that have brought us to that far. But what I'm thinking is that if we can make it a bipartisan approach, that both parties, the NDC, the MPP, they all reason and trade, they all pursue it consistently, that it will serve the interests of Ghana if we owe foreign missions. That will be ours rather than renting. And that will be the way forward, so that we will have a foreign policy in continuity instead of change. because this is a very good one, and I'm sure all government knew it's a very good thing.
Right.
But because of over politics, as I said, Oslo, it is sometimes when it comes in order to look at the issue from a national perspective, we twist it in a partisan line, and that is where this discontinuity is coming. Otherwise, I believe there is a very good thing, and every government, every Ghanaian will reason that is a very good decision. We should look forward to see continuity of that.
Certainly so. Thank you so much for your thoughts this evening, Professor Daniel Draman Kipo-Sunyehe, who is an associate professor at the Legon Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy, LESIAD. And look, as a foreign affairs correspondent here at Media General, I've followed a number of these conversations and can say on authority that the Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, lamented this particular issue greatly. So it is no surprise that the government has decided to take concrete action in that direction, to the extent that recent developments revealed by the Foreign Affairs Minister indicated that one of the countries that had given us land, prime land in their country to put up our own structure, decided to take back the land because for the last almost a decade now, Ghana has not shown interest in taking any steps to developing that property so they can have their own house or office to run their diplomatic affairs. So this current administration has initiated steps to at least get back that property, which is a prime area of that country, so they can have their structure there instead of the country taking that land back. So we'll see how all of this plays out in the coming days. And as a regular Ghanaian, what does this mean to you? What do you make of the fact that we have had to pay $15 million yearly on renting properties for our missions abroad when we could have owned them all these years, that have passed? We'll be happy to hear your thoughts as well. Do let us know, and we'll share it with the rest of the world. And what we do know also is that this revelation has been said a number of times, but the president reiterated it again today on the back of the fact that 18 of Ghana's 75 missions had been asked to ensure that they push Ghana and market Ghana and ensure that we get the right forms of investment through economic diplomacy. Now, when these 18 were being sworn in or given their official mandate, that was when this issue of the rental came up. So just by way of a reminder, I just want to take you through which individuals are going to which countries. And it was surprising to know, for instance, that the likes of Baba Jamal, who was one-time member of parliament for the Akwitia constituency, is now Ghana's High Commissioner to Abuja, Nigeria, neighboring our big brother on the African continent. So Baba Jamal is going to Nigeria as Ghana's High Commissioner. We have Victor Smith. You know him as a strong NDC stalwart who was one time the special aide to former President Jerry John Rawlings. He is Ghana's ambassador to the United States, Washington, D.C. to be specific. We also have Miss Mavis Amafrimpong, ambassador designate to Paris in France. Then we have Dr. Komastim Jewu Apia, who is Ghana's ambassador to the Federal Republic of Russia, the federal country of Russia. The mission is in Moscow, which is the capital of Russia, so Dr. Komastim Jewu is headed there. Then we have Kojo Bonsu, who one time was the mayor of the capital city of the Ashanti region, Kumasi. Now, Kojo Bonsu is going to be Ghana's ambassador to the People's Republic of China. And then we have Alhaji Hamid Rashid Ali, who is now our ambassador to Abu Dhabi in the UAE. Many of you know it as Dubai, but yeah, it's more than just Dubai. The United Arab Emirates. We have our mission there, specifically in the capital, Abu Dhabi. Professor Ohinie J is the ambassador designate for Berlin in Germany. So we are going to have our representative there as well. Then in Turkey, we have Alhaji Abdul Nasiruddin, who will be representing Ghana in Turkey. Dr. Margaret Uyemun Chebere is Ghana's ambassador to Copenhagen in Denmark. Then we also have Labik Joseph Yani, who is going to be in Equatorial Guinea, capital of the capital is Malabo, so he will be in Ghana's mission in Malabo, situated in Equatorial Guinea. Nia Masana Mwale, very popular here in the Greater Accra region. Nia Masana Mwale is going to represent Ghana in Brazil. So if you go to Brazil, Ghana's ambassador there will be Nia Amasa Namwale. Professor Kwesi Obri Danso is our ambassador going to India. Now, he is under specific pressure because at the launch of the KPIs that the president gave to all these foreign missions, his KPI is to ensure that Ghana gets a trade investment increase of about 25% year on year. Because all of these ambassadors have been given specific APIs. The minimum they should get in terms of trade investment in Ghana should be 10%. But for India, he is supposed to do 25%. And that is of particular interest because it looks as though what the Foreign Affairs Minister said was that when the Indian High Commissioner, the Indian President or Prime Minister, I should say, was in Ghana, that is Narendra Modi, both presidents, the Ghanaian President and the Indian Prime Minister, agreed that they needed to keep tabs on the rest, who would also be sworn in tomorrow. Tomorrow is when they are concluding the training that they've been having over the last year, the last week I should say. And when they do get their final marching orders, we'll bring that to you here on 3FM 92.7. This is a hot edition live from our studio here at Adisawe Kanda in Accra. On to some other stories we have for you this evening. Now, the Office of the Attorney General has announced that a law set to reform legal education will likely be passed by the end of the year. A key change is to have a National Bar Council administer a bar exam, with the current practice of the Ghana School of Law being the only institution accredited to run professional law courses halted. The current legal framework requires persons seeking to become lawyers to undertake a 3 or 4 year program at an accredited law faculty in any university. They will then have to pass an entrance exam to gain admission into the only school accredited to run the professional law course program, the Ghana School of Law, for a 2-year program. This is set to change, and Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Sremsai has been explaining what the rationale and the thinking has been and when it is likely to take effect.
The current legal framework requires persons seeking to become lawyers to undertake a 3 or 4 year program at an accredited law faculty in any university. They will then have to pass an entrance exam to gain admission into the only school accredited to run the professional law course program, the Ghana School of Law, for a 2-year program. This is set to change. The proposed bill will stop the General Legal Council from regulating legal education. Universities will be accredited to run professional law courses. Existing universities will also be permitted to teach some professional law courses as part of degree program. The National Bar Council will administer the bar exams. Dr. Justice Sremsai is Deputy Attorney General.
There will be a National Bar Council, so you don't come to any law school in Makola anymore, but when it's time, you apply, you sit for the exam, and then you take it. We are even considering the number of times the exams will be conducted every year. So it may be 3 times in a year, it may be 1 time in a year, but we have not yet reached that point. So that is what we are looking at.
What becomes of the Ghana School of Law, which you attended?
Ghana School of Law belongs to, GLC is under Attorney General Department.
Okay.
So it's our building, the facility is ours. So we may use this for other purposes, like training our lawyers or training investigators, but that decision would be, when you look at the lawmaking process, we have to do other consultation after the bill is drafted and everything. So those are some of the possibilities. And we have post-call people in the system. So maybe Ghana Law School will be used for, running programs for post-call people or other people, but it will not be the same Ghana Law School where everybody must attend for 2 years to become a lawyer. No, that will change.
And you had that interaction between Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Shremsai with Joseph Akable in that interview. The full length of the interview, which touched on a number of issues, is on our YouTube channel and also on our Facebook page. So you can log on and then be in the know of what exactly government intends to do, or the current administration intends to do, regarding how we are looking at improving our legal education in the country. And if you are one of those who are yet to go into the law school, what do you make of this development or this introduction by the current administration? Do let us know in the comment section on our Facebook page where we are streaming. So go to Facebook and look for 3FM 92.7 and you can be a part of the national conversation. We have other news for you now, and we will be going to issues regarding health shortly. But before that, let's bring you this story having to do with issues of immigration. The presiding judge in the murder trial of the immigration officer has admonished the aggrieved family members of the deceased to allow the law to take its course and not take matters into their own hands. Lawyer for the second accused, Gordon Abuaji, prayed the court to caution the deceased officer's family, citing a near assault on him after proceeding at the last adjourned date. Concerning what took place, we want the court to talk to the family of the deceased. It's not easy to lose a loved one. That was a quote from him. He further urged the court to order prosecution to grant him access to the accused persons since he did not know where they are being kept. The magistrate, Abena Aso Uwusu Omenya, cautioned the family to allow the law to take its course. And there are a number of quotes attributed to him. But before that, my colleague Lord Asiedu-Dartey was in court and has come through with this report.
If he didn't like it, he wouldn't have represented him. If the lawyer had a family member killed like this, would he have left it for someone to handle? We wouldn't even hear about it. If it was the lawyer's family member, we wouldn't have heard about it for it to even come to court. So what is the law? That someone has been killed and his hands have also been chopped off. The lawyer should take the hand for us so we can bury him. We can't bury some parts of the body and leave the rest, so they should return the hands and legs.
You are there with your husband and you hear that he is dead. If it was even poison, it makes sense. But to be able to cut him and burn him, his wife is going through so much pain. Yes, the judge has asked us not to make noise, and we are not. But if things don't go on well, we will. We come from Kumasi and the road is not good, but we keep our calm. Ideally, we should also kill them for killing our own. We have to do the funeral because the parts of the body have been burnt regardless.
So you heard the voices of some of the family members who spoke to my colleague Lord Asiedu-Dartey, who was in court. So the family members are actually expressing agitation or disquiet over why they have not been given access to even the full body of the individual who is a relative of theirs who was unfortunately murdered or was seen. He was killed and burnt, and his remains have been taken by the state agencies for investigation. 2 persons are currently standing trial, and that is what the main story regarding that particular issue is. Let's shift our attention to some other stories now. The Chief Executive Officer of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Yakubu Seidu Adam, has called on Parliament's Health Committee to fast-track legislation on organ harvesting. According to him, such legislation would drastically reduce the cost of transplants for patients in Ghana. The CEO's appeal adds to growing pressure on lawmakers to establish clear regulations governing organ donation and harvesting, a move health experts argue will improve access, lower costs, and strengthen the country's healthcare system. Addressing members of Parliament's Health Committee earlier today during a working visit to the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, the CEO said that the lack of a legal framework forces patients in need of organ transplant to travel abroad, despite the availability of skilled specialists in the country.
Our own population, if they need to do kidney transplant, they have to travel to India, to America, to the UK. We have the men here to do the work. If we get the legislation, it will help us. Me, as an eye surgeon, we do cornea transplant. And we can't get cornea here. We have to import corneas from America. The least you get cornea from America, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. If we have the legislation, we can harvest the corneas here, and you spend not up to 500 Ghana cedis, and the patient will benefit.
And so that's the CEO of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital in that interaction. His name is Dr. Yakubu Seidu Adam. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to the Vice Chair of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health, Dr. Sebastian Sandari. Doc, a very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening. Greetings to all your listeners.
Right. I am sure you were part of the committee that met with went on the visit to the working visit to the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, and listening to what the CEO said about the fact that we need to by now have some legislation around organ donation and harvesting in the country. That's a call you would support or agree with, wouldn't you?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a call in the right direction because we all know the importance, of having a legislation, that would guide, organ harvest and transplant, as far as our patients are concerned. So the CEO was just re-emphasizing something that is of concern to the health committee, and I must say it's also of concern to the Minister for Health. This issue, we have discussed it. Members have made statements on the floor of Parliament, and we all came to the conclusion that there's a need to have a legislation, on organ transplant. So, but it's always a process. It has to move from, the Ministry of Health, to Cabinet, come to Parliament, as a bill, late, and go through the processes. So, it hasn't reached our level yet. I know the ministry will be working on it, but until it gets to Parliament late and then properly referred, it is something that we all have to, to call for and ensure that the process is facilitated so that we can have it done to guide, the health system in this country. So it's of priority,
right,
to us even as a health committee. But until it gets to Parliament, you can't just move outside Parliament to go and by force bring it. So I believe it's going through the due process, and I know because the Minister for Health has taken it seriously because he was part of the health committee. This issue has come severally, and like I said,
right,
he has taken it seriously, and we hope that it will be brought to Parliament as soon as possible.
As soon as possible. And so, you have answered another question I had, which was on where have we reached so far. Certainly, this, from your submission, is an issue of interest that has been, in the conversation for some time now. But now that you have met someone who is heading a major health facility reiterating it. Are you able to walk us through or give us some specifics regarding timelines, or the committee in Parliament is waiting until some documentation or the right legislation is brought before we can see some concrete steps being taken?
Yes, let me say that I'm not in a position to give timelines, because, like I said, if it is that come to Parliament late and properly, referred, then we can say that we are all now involved in it and we can give timeline. But as we are discussing, like I said, I know it's of priority both to the committee, it's of priority to the ministry, it's of priority to government. But until it comes to Parliament, I cannot be talking, for another body, because I don't really know where it is.
Absolutely,
it's even possible as we are talking. Probably it has come to Parliament, but if it's not late, publicly, even as a committee, we might not know until it's properly laid and referred to the appropriate committee. Then we can speak to it from the Parliament
perspective
level.
Now talk to us about.
Like I said, the committee has also taken the issue seriously. So we would also take it up now that we have been reminded by the CEO. That's why we are out visiting the facilities and getting the issues. So what it means is that we have to follow up, to see exactly where, or the process that, or the stage that it has reached. Then we can talk to it.
Sorry for cutting in. Let me bring in this perspective of the ethical way of ensuring that this is done according to law. So yes, there is the legislative part which we are all waiting for, but when this becomes law, there should be other things we should be considering. So what contemporary policies or safeguards would you, for instance, advise be considered to regulate the organ donation and, the harvesting of it, so we do not start hearing the scary stories of how people deliberately, look for people and undertake all sorts of nefarious activities just so they can get these things. Have this also come up to you personally or to the committee, or what do you make of it, and what kind of advice would you give?
This is an area that is still, gray as far as, Ghana is concerned. I know it's something that we have to look at, socio-cultural practices, the beliefs of people, all these things will have to be considered, and the public educated to understand that when there's a need, you harvest these organs from one body to the other. There's really, nothing wrong. There's no witchcraft or something superstitious. And, the way we believe about superstition and other things. So before the law is passed, all these things would be considered. And, of course, they will call for stakeholders' input. All sort of people will be brought to make input, their views, especially to be brought, cultural issues will be looked at. All these would have to be looked at, to ensure that by the time the law is passed, it will be acceptable, to the society. There's no need passing a law that society will not accept. So all these things will be looked at, inputs will be taken, the public will be educated, so that the final product that will come as law will be acceptable to all of us in the society.
Thank you so much for your time this evening. Dr. Sebastian Sandari is the Vice Chair of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health. He's been sharing his thoughts on this new issue. You're still listening to 3FM 92.7. This is Hot Edition coming to you live from our studio here at Adisawe Kanda in Accra. Staying on health, though, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital continues to battle serious challenges ranging from inadequate accommodation to limited capacity and outdated equipment. Despite being one of the key referral facilities in the capital, the Ridge Hospital is grappling with medical and operational setbacks. The Health Committee of Parliament earlier today paid a working visit to the facility, and my colleague Christian Yali, who followed the team, has come through with his report.
Medical equipment to overwhelmed wards, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital faces difficulty in delivering optimal care to its growing number of patients. Ridge, as it is popularly called, hosts some of the best units in the sub-region, yet is in dire need of upgrade.
We all don't stay here, and it's a major challenge. You talk to my nurses, they take 2 or 3 trucks before they get to work. If you live at Kaswa and you work at Ridge, it's a major problem. So these are some of the things that, it's not everything that is about money, but little things will go a long way to make the nurse happy at work.
Accommodation tops the challenges, with most of the staff commuting from farther distances to work daily.
We have people coming from Dodowa, Amasaman. I come from Kaswa on a daily basis. So it's a major issue. Yes, we have very few, but we have on campus, we've given to the house officers, and even the house officers, just about a quarter or a fifth of them who have accommodation.
The Health Committee, during its working visit toward the maternity ward, the emergency unit, the bone marrow transplant and stem cell therapy unit, to understand their operations and challenges. Across the unit, a challenge is common: limited bed space and obsolete equipment, among others.
The main issues that we have here is the space, because you can see all these units are struggling for space. Our responsibility is to see the common Ghanaian. That is our responsibility. But those who can afford to pay, we have such an edifice. We are using it so that at least one will get some money to maintain the place. Then again, also to take care of the poor and the vulnerable who can't, because the poor would always be with us, whether we like it or not. And we have to ensure that we have a system that is taking care of them.
Hospital authorities are seeking government support to complete the phase 2 of the facility to help expand their wards infrastructure, better accommodate their staff, and even procure new equipment.
We have about 5 lifts. Only one is working as we speak. And we have reserved that for movement of patients. If that one too breaks down, then we'll be forced to use the breezeway, the ramp we use to climb up. What we have noticed is that a lot of the time, when we have people unhappy with the service, it is at a time when we don't have a lot of seniors around. But when the seniors are around in the mornings, we don't usually have a lot of these chaotic issues.
Members of the Health Committee took turns to suggest ideas, demand answers to some of the issues, and also make suggestions to enhance the hospital's operations.
The problems of not having the CT scan, MRI when we went around is quite unfortunate, because I know that there are specialists here who depend on it to make a final decision. Please, this should be considered as an emergency. You are doing well, but you have some problems, and we will continue to work for you. You are practically a teaching hospital, so far the clinicals are concerned. We are going to push that it is made a teaching hospital. Then you have your own board. Then at the level of the board, you can take your own decisions.
And that report was filed by Christian Yali. Now, let's stay on issues of health. The Western region, with a population of over 2 million, does not have an intensive care unit, a gap that remains a major dent in its public health system. Patients in need of critical care are often transferred to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital or facilities in other parts of the country, a situation that has, in many cases, lost cost lives. To address this challenge, the regional minister, Joseph Nelson, has launched a public solicitation to raise 3 million Ghana cedis for the establishment of the first ICU at the Takrade Hospital. Irama Smith is our correspondent in the region and has come through with this report.
The Intensive Care Unit, ICU, is a vital part of the healthcare system, providing specialized care and equipment for critically ill patients. It often makes the difference between life and death, reducing the need for risky referrals and ensuring hospitals can respond swiftly to emergencies and accidents. However, for the over 2 million residents of the Western region, their only access to this specialized care is in Cape Coast in the Central region, or even further on in Accra, when Cape Coast is unable to provide. This is a major worry to many, as it comes with other exigencies that some who are unable to afford die in the process. Western Regional Minister Joseph Nelson has launched a 3 million cedi project to intervene in the situation with a personal pledge of 100,000 cedis.
Upon assumption of office and on getting to know that we have this challenge, and I felt that we could do something on our own, because self-help projects are not new. In all areas of our lives in this country, we've had situations where communities have come together to build a hospital, a clinic, a child's compound, community center, name it. And so to have this need and to think that this is the responsibility of government, so let's fold our arms and wait, I think that would be most unfortunate. And so this is how come I took the initiative.
Medical.
And you heard the regional minister in the Western region, Joseph Nelson, ended that report by Irama Smith there. We are going to be giving you the latest in the world of business in a jiffy. But before that, we have a funeral announcement, and Osabarima Ansasa Sraku III, Chidomhene of Equiapim and Chief of Mamfi Equiapim, the entire members of the Chidomman Council, Mamfi Equiapim, Sabronum Traditional Council, Asachire Ebusia of Sabronum, Ebusia Penyi Osei Edum, Elder Ado Atiemo, Reverend Nana Ansasa Sraku, Assemblies of God Church in Koko, and sisters, Edumia Date, and brothers and sisters, Edumia Atiemo and siblings, Equiapim Hine, Chiame, Akufu, Asante Ope, Obapini Elizabeth, Asabia Chumesi, wish to announce the sudden death of Miss Nanaya Sewa Kufuor. Burial arrangements are as follows. There will be no wakekeeping. Burial service at Lashibi Funeral Home, Sakumono. On Friday, the 5th of September 2025, which is tomorrow, the filing passed at Lashibi Funeral Homes, Sakumono, from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30. Burial service from 8:30 to 10:30 at Lashibi Funeral Home, Sakumono. And then there will be a private interment. The attire is black. And on Sunday, the 7th of September 2025, there will be a memorial Thanksgiving service at the Liberty Grace Life Chapel at Trade Fair La Accra. There will be a sitting at 11 La Table Crescent in Cantonments, GL 054 N3270. And at that event, your attire should also be black and white. Children, Anthony A. Bekun, Yolanda K. Bekun, and then M. Bekun. All friends and sympathizers are cordially invited. And on the back of that, we usher you into the world of business. This is 3FM 92.7.
good evening. Welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, experts raise alarm over Ghana's rising marine plastic pollution as ISE and environmental advocates warn of dire threats to the blue economy. I am Menu Afo. We'll bring you details of this shortly. Now to the details. Head of Social Division at the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research is warning that the growing menace of marine plastic pollution poses a serious threat to Ghana's blue economy. The concern was raised at a stakeholder engagement on plastic pollution and marine litter management organized in Accra by the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy in partnership with ISE. Executive Director of CEMSC Benjamin Nsia stressed the need for a coordinated multi-sectoral approach to effectively tackle the crisis.
And marine litter are becoming very hazardous by day due to urbanization and constant use of plastic. We have no alternative single use of plastics in Ghana as compared to other jurisdictions. So we think that plastic waste or plastic pollution and the marine litter is becoming even very dangerous compared to Galamsey and poses a serious threat to our ecosystem compared to Galamsey. But mostly we hear CSOs and other bodies mention issues of unsustainable mining or Galamsey. But plastic must also be of a topic, and that is why we deem it fit and also see it fit that SEMSE and then ISE comes together to engage stakeholders within the space to identify the challenges and also prefer solutions to these challenges so that we can resolve these issues very sustainably. And I think areas we are likely going to look at are policy. Our plastic management framework is likely going to expire this year, so we are likely going to develop a new framework, and developing this framework means that we need to know the critical challenges of the sector and also prefer certain solutions for this sector.
Well, in that was Benjamin Nsia, Executive Director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy. In more news tonight, the Ghana Chamber of Mines has expressed concern over government plans to shorten the lease period for mining operations, warning that the move could deter potential investors. The government is currently reviewing the Minerals and Mining Act as part of efforts to maximize the country's benefits from its natural resources. However, speaking to journalists, the Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Asiedu-Dartey said the proposed changes risk undermining the sector's growth and could disenfranchise key stakeholders.
It is important that when we are looking at the tenure of the lease, we don't curtail the available time for recouping this investment and earning a fair return. Because what is going to happen is that if the tenure is short, then you might, that when you do your NPVs, you will find out the project is not feasible. And if it is not feasible, nobody will bring his money to invest. Not foreigners, not only FDI, LDI, local direct investment. Currently, all of us that are sitting here, if they decide that our pension funds should go into mining, an area that I would encourage that should happen, then so that we can also benefit. But then you start looking at it and you know that the tenure is short and you're not too sure about it. You remember what happened when they wanted to go and buy our stake in the Smith, this thing? The way Labour rose out. Labour would also say, no, don't go and put my pension funds in. So it's important. If you reduce the tenure, what is going to happen? You're going to encourage high grading.
And that was Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Asiedu-Dartey. That concludes the business segment and Hot Edition as a whole. My name is Menu Afo. Do stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs.